Hey guys, so we are driving home from SF, and I know it's like way overdue. I was supposed to share my birth story, how I gave birth in this car. So I think we're just gonna go ahead and tell you. Yeah, babe?
Where?
He really doesn't want to be a part of this, but whatever. You can just add on. So this is how it started.
Take me in.
What? So Adeline, she never, like, I was in labor with her for like, I think almost 24 hours. Like, it was a really long labor. I wouldn't dilate. It was like really, really long. And with, so Caroline, I know each birth is like super different, but I don't know, for some reason I was like pretty sure it's gonna be like somewhat similar. So on September 26th, what? Is this, it's September 26th, no? Why are you laughing? What happened?
Sorry. You can just cut that out.
Okay, I don't know. I guess I said something funny. Okay, so September 26th, around 6 o'clock, I get my first contraction. And it was pretty strong. And I wasn't sure if it was like the legit thing or if it was the Braxton Hicks. So Nazar was working, and you know, I kind of ignored it. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's, you know, it's not the real thing. And I was already overdue. My original due date was, what was my original due date? I don't know. I was like, was it? I was only 6 days late? I thought it was a week.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's the 20th.
Okay, so I think, so it was the 20th. Anyway, so, yeah, so I was home alone with my oldest Adeline, and I decided to give her a bath, and that's like when my second contraction happened, and it was really strong. And that's when I called Nazar, and I was like, I don't know, babe, I think I got the real thing, I'm not sure. And I didn't want to like worry him too much because he was working, and I was like, there's no way I'm gonna like freak him out, because he's the type that will like speed home. So I just called my mom and let her know if she can just pick up my my oldest, Adeline, pick her up. And I was like, Mom, I'm probably gonna go into labor tonight, so if you could just pick her up, that way we don't have to drop her off in the middle of the night. She's like, okay, sure. So I finished giving her a bath, and they just became like super strong. And then I called the hospital right after I took her out, and okay, babe, why is it? Okay, never mind. I took her out, I called the hospital, I told them like my situation and how like my contractions were really strong, and then instead of like, I don't know if you guys know this, for those who haven't given birth yet, usually they're like pretty spaced apart, and they're like not too long, but they were really like, they weren't consistent. They were just like, the first one was like 30 minutes, and the next one's 20 minutes apart, and the next one's like 18, and it just kept on going down by 2 minutes each time, which is really crazy. And more, like sometimes it would be even 5 minutes. So, and so I called them. They're just like, okay, is your husband home? And I told them my husband's gonna be home within like an hour. And they're like, okay, well, sounds like you're gonna be in labor soon. So they're like, just to make sure you have everything ready with you, and then as soon as he gets home, just pack your bags and get ready to go. And I was like, okay. So at that point, my mom came, and no, real fast. Before my mom came, after I was on the phone, finished talking with the nurse, I got like really, that's when my contractions got really bad. I started crying. I was like on all fours in the kitchen crying, and then my oldest Adeline sees me crying, and she starts crying because she sees me crying and I'm in pain, and she wants me to hold her, and I can't, and I'm just like suffering on the kitchen, and he's not home yet. And then like 5 minutes later, my mom comes home, and so she gets he doesn't want to be a part of it. And then so my mom comes over, and I was like, I'm not leaving the house dirty, so I tried to wash dishes. My mom's like, just go get ready, I'll do it. She started washing the dishes. I went to my room. I thought I was still gonna take a shower, curl my hair. I took out my makeup, my iron was on, curling iron. And I do this? I forgot it, I swear. Oh, so my curling iron, everything was on, and my contractions got like started getting worse and closer together. Nazar came, and I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure, you know, the baby's still like far away, and I asked him to go to the store, and we needed to buy something for my oldest daughter. He went to the store, came back, and that's when my mom was like, okay, you really need to, I'm messing up the story, guys. Sorry, before he came back, I feel like I needed to go like have a bowel movement. So I went to the bathroom, and I'm trying as hard as I can, and it's not happening for me because with my first one I got an epidural, so I don't know what it's like. Like, I know that you're supposed to feel like you're having a bowel movement, but like until you feel it, you don't know exactly what you're supposed to feel. So I was literally sitting in the bathroom pushing as hard as I can, and little did I know that I was like, I think my baby was already in the birth canal area or whatever. I'm not sure if that's, I don't know, but I was pushing, and it would like hurt if I would like sit in one position. If I relaxed, it felt better. And I think that's when the baby already started like moving down, but I had no idea I was this close to giving birth. So then my husband comes home, I pack everything up. There's no way I was gonna take a shower. I was wearing some like weird shorts and like a cute top. I didn't have time to change. My husband, when he came home, my pain just got even worse, and that's when I remember I was like telling him, I'm like, I want to die. I'm like, I don't want to live anymore. I can't do this. I'm like, this whole time what's playing in my head is like, I still have to get to the hospital. By the time I get to the hospital, I have to get, by the time like, you know, they admit me, they call the anesthesiologist, and like he gives me the epidural, it kicks in. I'm like, it's gonna be at least an hour and a half, and I'm like, I can't do it. And like my mind, like everything just starts going insane, and I start like, I lay down on my sheets, and I'm like rubbing my face on my sheets, and I'm like going insane. And keep in mind, guys, this has happened like less than an hour total since like my first contraction happened. Yeah, I think like an hour. So like it got really bad, it escalated, and so my mom left. I already said that with my daughter. Nazar grabbed some blankets just in case like my water was gonna break, and he got the big old Costco blanket. So as we're just about to walk out, I get my next contraction, and it's like, and so Nazar closes the door, and I'm standing there, and I just start pushing. Well, actually, I don't know that I'm pushing. I tell him I need to go to the bathroom, like, you know, have a bowel movement. He's like, do it. And I'm like, I'm not gonna poop. And he's like, just do it. And I'm pushing as hard as I can because like my body is just telling me, like I can't hold it, and it's just telling me to push. And I'm like, nothing's coming out. I'm like so confused. I'm like, whatever. And he lightweight, he didn't tell me till later, but he was like freaking out because he's like, dude, she's like probably gonna give birth soon, right?
Lay off.
Because he doesn't want to be a part of this. Anyways, we get into the car, and I'm like, please roll down all the windows. He rolled down all these, the top roof. He blasted the AC. He tried to talk to me, and I'm the type where I was like, when I'm in pain, I was like, please don't touch me, just pray. So he starts, and literally like 2 minutes into our drive, I'm pushing as hard as I can every time I get a contraction, and next thing you know, I just get this like, I can't describe it, this amazing relief. Like it feels so good. And I'm like, babe, I think my water broke. He's like, are you serious? So he calls the hospital, and he's like, my wife's water just broke. He explained the situation. He's like, we're about 20 minutes away. He's like, if you guys just gonna get everything ready. He gave them all the information that they needed to know. And so we started driving. I mean, we were still driving. We just get onto the freeway, and this is when he started going. He went all the way to the carpool lane. He turned on his emergency lights, and he was just flying. And at this point, he's just praying. He's flying all the cars. He's like, babe, tell them. He said it was like a miracle that like all the cars from far away saw our car, and they were just moving out of the way. And we passed like 1 or 2 exits, and I'm sitting in the front, and my seat is like laid back down, like pretty much fully like laid back down, and my legs are like on the, no, they weren't on the dash yet. And So then so we're driving and I feel whatever. So I feel like I'm again gonna have a bowel movement, so I'm pushing and I'm like talking to myself. I'm like, and that's when I think I just went into like this crazy like stage. And then I tell Nazar, I was like, I'm gonna give birth in the car. I'm gonna give birth in the car. Obviously, we both did not think this was gonna happen. And next thing you know, something is telling me to like put my hands down there. So I put my hands down there and I feel a head, not fully, just like, just like we're here, just like this part. And like in that moment, everything just like went in slow motion, like in a movie, it's like. Anyways, so Nazar usually he shares his part, and he said that I like threw my shorts off, but for me, I like slowly in my head, everything just like literally just took off my shorts. I got a next contraction, I pushed, and I put my hand down there again. No, my hand was there the whole time, and I can feel the whole head like is out. Then I wait for a second, and then I get like another contraction. I push as hard as I can, and I literally just like my two hands just grab the baby and I just put her on me, and I just hit her on the back. She makes a sound. Guys, it was so amazing. And then Nazar looks over and he's like, babe, you gave birth to our baby. And he starts crying, and I'm like, babe, calm down, everything's fine, to drive slowly now. Baby was fine. We rolled up all the windows, turned on the AC. She was fine. She just like made a crying sound when I hit her in the back, and she was just super quiet. We kept driving. He was flying in the carpool lane. He calls the hospital and lets them know our situation. They literally could not believe him. And so we pull up, because we were literally like 2 minutes away. We got to the hospital. It usually takes us like 20 minutes. We got there within like 6 minutes to the hospital. Like, we were flying so fast. We get to the hospital. It was the coolest feeling ever. I look up and I see the ladies, just a swarm of like nurses just running towards me with like a, what are those called, a gurney? Yeah, like a gurney. They're like running. Huh? Gurney. My bad, guys. You still have pregnancy brain up to a year after birth. He's gonna say, you mean your whole life? Anyways, and so the ladies come. The first nurse grabs the baby. She's like, how's the baby? I'm like, she's breathing, she's fine. Like, I told them I hit her in the back to make a sound, so she's doing good. They grab it, they cut the umbilical cord, and some nurse takes her, and she's just checking her out, like literally like 5 feet away from me. She's just making sure, everything's good, the baby's like breathing. They wrapped her up in like blankets, and you forgot to, and yeah, and then so I start feeling like I need to push again, and that's like the placenta part already, and I'm like, I need to push, and they're just like, and they're freaking out. They're like, hey, she needs to push, what should she do? They don't know what to do. And then they're like, can you hold it in? And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. And like, at this point, this was funny because my legs are like on here. There's like a lady walking in with her husband. They are just she's in labor, I'm assuming, and probably her seeing this, she probably like freaked out. So okay, so they get me on the gurney, and they rush me into the hospital room, and then that's when within like 5 minutes, I deliver my placenta, and then I took a shower, got ready, and Caroline is healthy, guys. Perfect, like nothing was like wrong, and that's, I literally think, all because of like Nazar, my amazing husband. He prayed, and God just like blessed this whole thing. No, I was not freaking out. I know everyone's like, weren't you freaking out? I feel like when you're in the moment, like, it's not like I prepared for this. Like, if I prepared, I probably would be freaking out. When you're in the moment, and like when you have like family praying for you, because people knew I was going to the hospital, so it's like when people have like are praying for you, and like your your husband's, I don't know. And guys, I watch Call a Midwife. It's like an old-fashioned show, but it's like about, it's literally like midwives and how they give birth, I guess. Not give birth, but they to help deliver babies. And so like there's like a few episodes, you know, when they're like, just wait till the head is born. They're like, you know, so I'm like, I don't know. I'm not saying that's why exactly, like, I feel like that's what why I knew what I was doing. But anyways, so it was pretty cool calling my mom, because she did not believe me, because we caught her and I had the baby on me, but she didn't see the baby. And so I'm smiling and she's like, I'm FaceTiming her, and she sees me smiling and she's like, she already assumed, she's like, what, you got the epidural? Because I was like calm, and when she left my house I wasn't calm. I was like crying, freaking out. And she's like, and I'm like, yeah, I got the epidural. And then I just like bring the camera down, and then she looks over, she sees my baby, and she's like, what? And she's like, she couldn't believe that it's my kid. And she's like, what do you mean? She didn't believe. She's like, that's not your kid. I'm like, Mom, that's Caroline. She's like, I was just at your house 30 minutes ago. There's no way that's Caroline. And I'm like, Mom, I'm serious. And she's like freaking out, and I hear my dad, and he's like, what? And he jumps off the couch and he like runs over, grabs the camera to see, because he couldn't believe it either. And then I tell them I delivered in the car, and that's when they like lost it. They were like, couldn't believe me. And then another thing, it was funny calling Nazar's mom. This is after we got into the room, we got situated, everything was like, we got our baby, everything. Nazar decides to FaceTime his mom, and she's like, oh, you know, he's like, please pray for her, please pray for us. And she's like, oh, did you guys go to the hospital? And we're like, yeah, we just arrived at the hospital. And our labor, I went into labor so fast, I didn't even have time to let her know that I went into labor. Like, I would have called her, and I just didn't have time. And then what is going on with this camera, guys? I'm having such a hard time. Okay, there we go. Okay, maybe I'm a noob. Anyways, and so we call Nazar's mom, and she's like, and he's like, yeah, just pray for Masha. She went into labor, like, they're checking her out, making sure everything's good. And she's like, okay, we'll pray. And then Nazar turns the camera over, and I'm standing there holding the baby, and she's like, what? How? She's like, you're holding the baby? And I was like, yeah. And she couldn't believe me that I'm holding the kid. She's like, why are you standing? She's like, lay down. And I'm like, I'm fine. And I think like the fact that I didn't tear, and it was like a natural birth, like I was able to, like, I was fine. I know everyone has like their own like you know, their body reacts differently, or like, you know, they heal differently. But like with my first one, I tore and I got the epidural, so it was like my left leg was numb. I couldn't even stand on it for hours, and like I was super sore down there. But I'm like, with my second one, I think because like their births were super close together. Okay, I'm really having a hard time with this camera. Like Adeline, it's fine, I'll just okay, thanks babe. See, what would I do without him, guys? And so Adeline was born September 14th 2016, and Caroline was September 26th 2017. So they're like 1 year and like what is that, like almost 2 weeks apart. So yeah, so maybe that's why I didn't tore. I mean, tore. That's why I didn't. Look at him laughing. I bet I made some. Well, anyways, I'm not saying that's like, I don't know why I didn't tear, but I'm really happy. Everything went smoothly. Like, okay, here's one thing. When I was younger, I was watching Kim Kardashian, Keeping Up with the Kardashians episode with my what is going on? This camera is insane. And I remember I was watching this episode where Courtney, she pulls out her baby, and like, I remember with my cousins, they were like, that's impossible, that's so fake, like there's no way someone can like deliver their own baby. And I like, I sat there quietly, and I was like, in my head, I was like, that'd be the coolest thing if I can deliver my own kid. Like, that's the coolest thing you could ever say, is like, I delivered my own kid, you know? And then little do you know, half a decade later or decade later, I gave birth in the car. Well, anyways, that's my story. Thanks for listening. Sorry it took forever. I'm like really bad with saying stories because I get distracted easily, and we're driving, so I'm like constantly looking around, and this camera was messing me up. The camera was messing me up. Well, anyways, thanks for listening to my story. I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah. Bye, guys. Look at this hottie. Ooh. Ooh. And then there's Caroline in the back. I think she's out, and that's Adeline. Look how she's passing out. Okay, guys. Love you all. Bye. Also, guys, I have like a photo that I want to show you guys of like right when I gave birth. Like the baby was laying on me, Caroline was laying on me, Nazar took a picture when we were at a stop sign or something. No, when we just got to the hospital. Well, whatever. Anyways, if there's not like that much blood, I mean there is, think about it, the baby just came out. If you can't handle that, then don't look, but for those who can, check it out.